In the 3rd year of my forceful possession of Liam Carter, he died in a car accident while saving me. The doctor said he had lost the will to live. Later, while sorting through his belongings in his pitifully small studio, I found a moleskine notebook. Tucked inside were records of all the transfers he had secretly made over the past few years to fund Chloe Vance, his unrequited love. Each entry was a crystal-clear mockery of my own deluded affections. But on the last page, written in his elegant script, were the words, "Ava Harrison, I hate you the most. I'm Ava." And so, after I was reborn, the first thing I did was storm into the conference room and tear up the acquisition contract Liam had just signed. A 20-year-old Liam watched quietly as the torn pieces of the contract drifted to the floor like snowflakes. After a long moment, a smirk touched his lips, his voice laced with sarcasm. "What? Has Miss Harrison finally decided that making me sell my studio and be your corporate slave for 10 years isn't enough?" I wasn't fully back in my own head yet. Tearing up the contract just now had been pure instinct. 10 years isn't enough. What about 20, 30, or a lifetime? Seeing me just staring blankly at him, a flicker of understanding crossed Liam's eyes. He picked up the pen again, looking as if this was nothing out of the ordinary. "Is the new contract ready? I have work this afternoon, and I can't be late." His expression was so calm, you'd think he was talking about the weather. I blurted out, "There's no new contract." The words had barely left my mouth when I realized how terribly hoarse my voice was. I licked my dry lips and out of habit ordered, "Liam, I need some water." During the 3 years I was married to Liam, he'd taken care of my every need. But the moment I met his dark eyes, which held a hint of mockery, I remembered with a jolt. This wasn't the Liam from years later, the one who had learned to feign being tamed by me. A lump formed in my throat. I tried to explain. I didn't. "So this is your new way of messing with me." Liam seemed used to it. He rose and walked to the water cooler. After a slight pause, he mixed in some cold water. "It doesn't matter if you want to change the terms of the contract. You can rest assured I'll keep my promise to Mr. Harrison." His knuckles were prominent on the hand holding the glass, but when my fingertips accidentally brushed against his, he recoiled as if he'd touched something repulsive. The small movement made my nose sting. The water was the perfect temperature. I used the excuse of taking a sip to lower my head, quickly hiding my reddening eyes. Liam was truly a man of his word. Even when my father fell suddenly ill and he had to support the entire Harrison group on his own, he never thought of using it as an excuse to break the contract. Even during the car crash, his first instinct was to shield me with his own body. The doctor said Liam had no will to live, and so this man, with no will to live, had already drafted a will leaving me everything he owned. Liam was perfect in every way, except for one thing. He didn't love me. Luckily, I have another chance. "There's no new contract," I said, setting the glass down. I repeated, "I'm never going to force you to sign anything ever again." Silence fell. Liam stared at me for a moment, then his expression shifted to one of dawning realization. He pulled a bank card from his pocket and set it down in front of me. "This is from Mr. Harrison. I haven't touched any of the money." "That's not what I meant," I said, grabbing his hand in desperation. I knew what this money meant to Liam. A father with a gambling addiction and a gravely ill sister. In my past life, I had used all of this to force him to sign that 10-year deed of sale. I acquired the design studio he was so proud of and turned him into nothing more than a soulless drafting tool for the Harrison Group. "You can take my father's money, and you can sign a contract. I mean, a normal investment contract. My father will invest in your studio. You can choose to work for the Harrison Group after you graduate, or you can pay it back when you start making a profit. But I don't need you by my side all the time anymore, and I'm not going to force you to like me anymore." My vision began to blur. With my head bowed, I didn't realize my grip on Liam's hand was getting tighter and tighter. Until his cold voice cut in. "Your hand. Ha!" It didn't register. The surprise in Liam's eyes quickly faded into a dead emptiness. He spoke, his expression cold. "What kind of act are you putting on this time, Miss Harrison? Or are you trying to sabotage my last chance, so I'll have no choice but to keep revolving around you?" Staring at the tips of Liam's ears, red with anger, I opened my mouth, but was too dejected to speak. Because he was right. I had done all of those things before. I fell for Liam at first sight. So when I happened to learn that he was going to stay in New York for his childhood friend, Chloe, even giving up the chance to study at Yale, I panicked. I made the first move, using an acquisition contract to try and bind him to my side. I've always been bossy and possessive, ever since I was a kid. I always thought that with enough time, Liam would eventually see the good in me and fall for me. But until the day he died, the words in that notebook were still just, "I hate you. I won't do that again. Why should I believe you? Because I don't like you anymore." As I said the words, the tightness in my chest seemed to ease considerably. I managed to smile and said, with the utmost seriousness, "Liam, I don't like you anymore. And I won't force you to do anything ever again." Liam looked at me, his eyes churning with emotions I couldn't read. He didn't say another word before he left. He probably still didn't believe me. The card had been left behind. After a moment's thought, I took it and went to see my father. After making absolutely sure that I wasn't just playing some kind of reverse psychology, my father agreed. He would change the acquisition to an unconditional angel investment. But he had to talk to Liam first. I breathed a sigh of relief. For the next few days, I forced myself not to go looking for Liam. Our majors were in different departments anyway, and our buildings were on opposite sides of campus, so it was normal for us not to cross paths all day. To everyone else, though, it looked like I was deliberately avoiding him. Plenty of people were whispering, wondering what kind of game I was playing. Even my cousin, Noah, couldn't resist coming to find me. "Give me the scoop. What are you planning to do to mess with that Liam guy next?" His eyes were practically gleaming with mischief. I rolled my eyes at him. "I'm not. Something's off. This is really off." Noah's expression grew strange. He slung an arm around my neck, lowering his voice. "Before, if I so much as mentioned Liam, your eyes would light up bright enough to be a flashlight. What's with the wilted look now? Did that guy do something to you?" His tone grew menacing toward the end. "He didn't do anything. I've just decided to move on." I pushed Noah's arm away, but I had a sharp sense that a heavy gaze was locked on me. A look around revealed nothing out of the ordinary. "What's wrong?" Noah moved a little closer. He suddenly froze, rubbing the back of his neck. "Why do I feel a chill down my spine?" "Wait, what did you say about moving on?" "I don't like Liam anymore." "Oh, you don't like you don't like him anymore." His voice shot up. "Noah!" Just as I was getting a headache wondering how to shut down Noah's over-the-top reaction, that voice, familiar down to my bones, came from behind me. I didn't turn around, but my body stiffened instinctively. Leaning on my shoulder to peer around me, Noah said irritably, "What do you want?" Liam's cold gaze swept over the hand resting on my shoulder, retreating just as quickly. He was holding a stack of design drawings, his face expressionless. "Professor Johnson wants to see you in his office." The color drained from Noah's face instantly. He hastily tossed a "see you at home tonight" over his shoulder and abandoned me without a second thought. But Liam stood his ground, his unhurried gaze landing on my face. This was the first time we had seen each other since that day. Worried Liam would misunderstand, thinking I was still obsessed and just playing some new game, I decisively turned and walked away. I left in such a hurry that I didn't hear the half-syllable he bit off. His Adam's apple bobbed as Liam swallowed the rest of my name. But the gaze that followed me grew even darker, more unreadable. I thought Liam and I would finally drift apart this time. But I never expected him to agree to be my project tutor. His reason was simple enough. "Your father said your fundamentals are weak, so the pay is exceptionally good." Liam set the case files he'd brought on my desk and flicked his gaze up. "Didn't you say you weren't going to like me anymore? That you were planning to get serious about your studies?" His words left me speechless, my anger flaring. "Then why did it have to be you?" It had taken me so much effort just to force myself to get used to a life without him. I really need the money. And compared to other part-time jobs, I can review the course material while tutoring you. Liam looked at me, his expression calm. "Your father said he's hired other tutors for you, but you didn't like any of them. If my tutoring doesn't work, or if you really can't stand having me here, he'll fire me all the same." All the fight went out of me in an instant. I knew Liam was always working off campus, spinning like a top around the clock. After I stumbled upon him once when he'd fainted from anemic exhaustion, I had used some heavy-handed tactics to sabotage several of his jobs. In my past life, I had asked him to tutor me too, but he refused without a moment's hesitation. But he'd agreed this time. Was it really because my affection had been such a burden to him? A familiar pang shot through my heart, then subsided into stillness. I pulled out my chair, deliberately sitting a little farther away from him, and said sullenly, "Let's just get started. Let's start with a basic case analysis." Liam pushed the materials toward me, his voice a fraction lower than usual. Without another word, I buried my head in the case file. The room fell silent, the only sound our soft, shallow breaths. I forced myself to focus, until Liam stood behind me. An impossibly clean, almost sharp scent of soap filled my senses, enveloping me. My hand gripping the pen went rigid. Unbidden, my thoughts drifted to my past life. After we married, Liam had always been indifferent to me. The only exception was during our intimate moments, where he would show a rare fierceness. His warm breath would ghost across the side of my neck as he took that soft bit of flesh between his teeth, worrying it gently, even as he reached up to cover my eyes. And so from start to finish, I could never see his face. Thinking back on it now, it must have been because he didn't want to see mine. My mind drifted, and I unconsciously started chewing on my pen. Suddenly, a hand entered my field of vision, its wrist bone prominent. Liam tapped the desk, his expression blank. "For a logic problem, you chose D?" I ducked my head in shame and made the correction. Somehow, I managed to finish the rest, stumbling and guessing my way through. I handed him the report with a sense of dread. Liam scanned it, his brow furrowing almost imperceptibly. I looked away guiltily. Just then my phone vibrated. Liam was looking down, marking up my report. I glanced over, and with my back to him, stealthily opened WhatsApp. It was a message from Noah. He was cheerfully reporting that he'd taken care of that thing for me, and asked if I'd thought of what I was getting him as a thank you gift. Me, what thank you gift? What did you take care of for me? Noah, what kind of mischief have you been up to now? My heart gave a sudden lurch as I remembered what had happened a few days ago. Noah never believed that I was over Liam. I didn't bother explaining much, figuring time would prove it. But in truth, when I saw Chloe walking beside Liam with that shy smile of hers, I couldn't help but lose my focus for a moment. I knew Chloe was different to Liam. He liked the quiet, yet he could tolerate her chattering endlessly in his ear. She was his only friend at school. They'd even promised to start a business together. And yet, I had still used every means necessary to take him from her. Chloe must have said something amusing, because she tugged on Liam's sleeve and gave it a little shake, like a playful plea. But the moment she saw me, she flinched, her face turning pale as she hid behind him. Looking at Chloe, who was like a delicate little flower, I was inexplicably reminded of my past life. At Liam's funeral, Chloe had shown up with the media to cause a scene. She tearfully accused me of being the real murderer, using her status as the idealized love I'd torn him away from to sway public opinion and try to force me to hand over his inheritance. In the end, it was I who exposed her hypocrisy by producing records of the massive money transfers Liam had hidden in a notebook. For years, she had been asking him for money. Chloe was nowhere near as innocent as she seemed. The realization made me frown instinctively, and I couldn't stop myself from taking a few steps forward. "Can I help you?" A cold, distant voice pulled me back to my senses. Liam was looking at me calmly. His eyes swept over Noah, who was beside me, before he subtly moved to shield Chloe with his body. I opened my mouth, but it took a long moment before I could quietly say, "It's nothing." I suddenly realized Liam would never believe anything I said, especially since Chloe was his cherished love. The thought left a painful, sour ache deep inside me. I didn't even notice when they left. Just then, Noah bumped my shoulder and gave me a conspiratorial look. "Don't you worry, cousin. Big Bro will definitely help you," he declared, thumping his chest. I had no idea what he was talking about and didn't think much of it. But recalling it now, the sense of unease grew stronger. Noah sent another voice message. I was about to have it transcribed when Liam's voice sounded from behind me. "What are you doing?" I jumped, fumbling to turn off my phone, but accidentally hit play instead. The next second, Noah's exaggerated voice boomed through the silent study. "You'll never guess who I saw. Chloe. She's working at that same coffee shop. But don't you worry, Ava. I already got the shop to fire Liam. I've completely cut off any chance of him seeing Chloe. From now on, he'll have no choice but to revolve around you." The phone was gently taken from my hand. Liam looked down, his expression unreadable. My heart sank as I listened to the triumphant echo of Noah's voice, and I tried to explain. I didn't ask him to do that. But my voice trailed off, and the room fell into a dead silence. "So this is what you meant." He placed the phone on the desk with a soft click. Liam took half a step back and said softly, "When you said you wouldn't force me anymore." His tone was unreadable. I knew he'd misunderstood again. I took a deep breath and met his gaze head-on. Believe it or not, I really didn't ask Noah to do this. On the contrary, if I had known beforehand, I would have stopped him no matter what. His dark lashes lowered, hiding his eyes. Liam didn't speak. I continued. He must have misunderstood something. But regardless, he did this because of me, so I apologize on his behalf. As for any damages this has caused you, I can also cover for him. You'll cover for him? A ripple finally disturbed the calm pools of his eyes. A humorless smile touched Liam's lips. You're quite the loyal one, aren't you, Miss Harrison? I froze. After 3 years of marriage, I knew this was a sign he was truly angry. I was about to say something, but Liam looked away first. He stepped back to where he had been standing and picked up the half-graded report. Your fundamentals really are a bit weak. Let's start with the basics. Liam was true to his word, taking the job very seriously. And I was holding up my end of the deal, with no interaction between us outside of our studies. If we happened to run into each other on campus, we just walk past one another, deliberately avoiding eye contact. I had been breathing a sigh of relief. Until Maya, who was also on the student council, reminded me about our office duty. It's your and Liam's turn to be on duty at the office. Maya pushed her sliding glasses back up her nose and added, "Don't forget to clean." My face stiffened. It was only then that I remembered I'd promised Maya I would deep clean the office if she pulled some strings to put me on duty with Liam. But now, the situation was a little awkward. Those guys are so lazy. They never clean anything but their own desks. Good luck, I'm counting on you. Maya patted my shoulder with a deadpan expression, a gesture of encouragement, before walking off with a book in her hand. At this point, I couldn't find anyone else to cover for me. So, I resigned myself to my fate and gathered my things. I didn't expect that when I rushed to the office, Liam would already be there, a rag in his hand. His back was to me as he wiped the windows. When he raised his arm, the hem of his faded t-shirt lifted, revealing the sharp outline of his shoulder blades beneath the thin fabric. My mind drifted for a moment. In a daze, the slender boy before me seemed to overlap with the person from my memories. Liam didn't like having strangers in the house, so the housekeeper only came once a week. The daily cleaning and cooking were almost always done by Liam himself. I tried to help, thinking it might be a chance to grow closer. But Liam was always quiet and reserved when he worked. I could say 10 things cheerfully, and he might only offer a single reply. Eventually, I couldn't stand it anymore and couldn't even be bothered to go back to that house. It wasn't until after Liam died that I went back to collect his belongings and found that notebook in his study. The notebook was filled with writing. I paused, suddenly realizing something was wrong. Liam's notebook had been full of words. So why did I only remember that one line? I hate you the most. It was like I had forgotten something. The key to the equipment room is... Halfway through his sentence, Liam subconsciously started walking toward me, only to stop short a few feet away. He looked down, his voice tinged with a faint urgency. You look pale. Are you not feeling well? I belatedly realized my palms were slick with cold sweat. I'm fine. I shook my head and walked straight past Liam to get a broom. But he had already cleaned most of the office. I couldn't find anything to do, and just stood there awkwardly. The equipment room key is in the second drawer on the left. After you check it, organize the activity logs for the clubs. The final patrol is at 9 p.m. I breathed a sigh of relief and said, Okay. It wasn't much work. After I finished quickly, I took out a book and started to study. until a cup of hot water and a piece of milk candy appeared in my line of sight. Liam sat down across from me, his head bowed over his design sketches. The only sound in the office was the soft rustle of turning pages. Maybe because I was thinking about our past life, I found the silence unbearable. So I made an excuse to go to the bathroom. "Ava!" Liam suddenly called out to me. He glanced at the untouched water and candy on the table, his brow furrowing and then smoothing out. Finally, as if he had made up his mind, he said in a low voice, "I have something to tell you. We can talk when I get back." Liam paused. "Okay." I took the opportunity to slip out. While I was outside getting some fresh air, I couldn't help but think about that notebook, the one whose contents I had mostly forgotten. But if I've forgotten it all, it must not have been that important, right? I tried to reassure myself. When I turned my head, I saw a girl from the promotions department who also had a bit of a crush on Liam. I didn't really want to go back, so I made an excuse that something had come up and asked the girl to switch shifts with me. "But my bag is still in there." "Don't worry, I'll pack it up and bring it out to you." It seemed she was really looking forward to being alone with Liam. I thanked her. When the girl came out with my bag, I remembered that Liam had wanted to talk to me. I couldn't help but ask, "Liam wasn't mad, was he?" "Not at all," she said, eager to get back inside. She started to walk away as she spoke. "I told him you had to leave for something urgent." He just nodded and went back to his drawing. Just as I thought. Liam didn't care at all whether I stayed or left. Whatever he wanted to say must not have been very important either. I couldn't put a name to what I was feeling. I just said, "Oh," and walked back to my dorm with my bag. 2 weeks later, pretty much everyone knew I had given up on pursuing Liam. Noah muttered that I'd finally come to my senses, and then thumped his chest, promising he'd introduce me to someone 1,000 times better than Liam. But before he could act on it, he was already threatening to cut ties with me. Because when the new midterm grades came out, my GPA was a full 1.5 points higher than his. Noah stared at my report card like he'd seen a ghost. After a long moment, he let out a whimper. "Ava, how could you abandon me too?" Looking at him, I patted his shoulder and said earnestly, "If you don't start trying harder, Maya's never going to give you the time of day." It wasn't until much later that I found out Noah had a secret crush on Maya. The moment I said that, Noah immediately stopped crying and blustered defensively. Who would even like her? But a moment later, he suddenly pulled out a small mirror to look at himself, then turned to me and asked uncertainly, "Am I really that bad?" I didn't say anything, just had Maya send me her report card. Noah deflated completely after seeing her grades. Then, as if he'd been shot with adrenaline, he declared he was going to start studying seriously. At least he finally stopped pestering me about why I'd suddenly given up on Liam. I breathed a sigh of relief, but I never expected Chloe to approach me the next day. Her reason for coming was absurd. She was asking me to get back together with Liam. "What are you talking about?" I couldn't even believe my ears. "I know you still have feelings for Liam," Chloe said with conviction. "Otherwise, you wouldn't have had Noah sabotage his job. Now that Liam's unemployed, he'll have to rely on you even more." "Rely on me?" The word Chloe used made me frown in discomfort, but I didn't respond. Chloe took my silence as agreement. She bit her lip, then, feigning hurt, dropped a bombshell. "Actually, Liam only sees me as a sister. You probably don't know this, but I used to have a brother. He died saving Liam, and Liam promised him he'd take care of me. But I know that I'm not interested in your relationship." I cut her off, feigning impatience to hide my shock. I added with a cold laugh, "Liam walks around with a permanent scowl. What kind of masochist would I have to be to hang myself on that one crooked tree? Besides, I've already told you, I'm really not into Liam anymore." The approaching footsteps stopped. Chloe's expression flickered through several emotions. The next second, right in front of me, she missed a step and tumbled down the stairs. It was a nasty fall. I clearly saw the expression on Chloe's face twist in pain. And just then, Liam appeared. "Liam," Chloe said, her eyes welling up and her voice choked with tears. "It has nothing to do with Ava. I just fell by accident." I couldn't be bothered with Chloe's clumsy acting. My eyes were fixed on Liam. How much did he see? How much of what I said did he hear? Did he apologize? His cold voice was sharp as a knife. I was in disbelief. Apologize. A flash of triumph crossed Chloe's eyes, but she said aloud, "This really has nothing to do with Ava. Liam, you don't have to force her to apologize to me on my account." Hearing that, I could barely contain the rage boiling inside me. All the mistrust I'd faced since my rebirth, the guilt I'd wanted to atone for, the constant fear and anxiety, it all erupted in that one moment. Why should I have to keep swallowing my pride like this? I laughed, furious. "Are you out of your mind, Liam? Why the hell should I?" I was about to storm down the stairs and give him a real reason to blame me. But all my anger was instantly extinguished by Liam's next words. "Apologize to Ava. Apologize to me." I froze. Now it was Chloe's turn to be in disbelief. "Me? Apologize? Liam, what are you talking about?" she asked, anxiously reaching for his hand. "Ava was the one who lost her temper and pushed me. Why are you asking me to?" "I'm not an idiot." Liam sidestepped her, his voice low and cold, but every word carried an undeniable authority. "She isn't stupid enough to attack you in a crowded place. Chloe, this isn't the first time." His last sentence was laced with obvious disappointment. Chloe said nothing more. She lowered her head, her loose hair hiding the dark, unreadable expression on her face. "Liam. You believe me?" "I do." Another silence fell. I couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. Then Liam spoke again. "She only slanders you like this because of me. I'll apologize to you on her behalf." "What gives you the right to apologize for her?" I blurted out, but as soon as the words left my mouth, I had the vague feeling this conversation was somehow familiar. A flicker of a smile crossed Liam's eyes, but it was quickly swallowed by darkness. He bent down to help Chloe up, but she violently slapped his hand away. In the end, Chloe limped away, with Liam following silently behind her. I watched them go, thinking about what Chloe had said earlier. "I used to have a brother. He died saving Liam. Liam promised him he would take good care of me. I never knew any of this, not even in my past life. For some reason, the records of the large money transfers tucked inside the notebook suddenly flashed through my mind. My chest grew heavy, as if a great stone was weighing it down. And then came a sudden, baseless panic. "Noah!" Just then, Noah walked over to me. I grabbed him, my voice urgent. "Do me a favor. I have to find out why Chloe was trying to get us to make up." Noah is well-connected, with a ridiculously wide circle of friends. He agreed on the spot. I figured investigating this would take some time, but I never expected Chloe to be so impatient she'd slip up on her own. On Saturday afternoon, Noah came to see me, his expression terrifyingly grim. He tossed a voice recorder onto my desk, as if it were something disgusting. It took him a long moment before he managed to grit out, "I seriously want to call the cops." After a burst of static, Chloe's impatient voice came through. How was I supposed to know they'd suddenly have a falling out? That Ava Harrison made such a big show of chasing Liam. Every time I got near him, she'd get insanely jealous. I really thought she was into him. Figures these rich people are so fickle. Now she's over him just like that, and it's thrown my whole plan into chaos. And Liam, that useless idiot. I thought he could string that heiress along for a while longer, maybe squeeze some more money out of her. But now, not only is there no money, he's even lost his job. He's so high and mighty, refusing to ask for a payout. So what am I supposed to do? I still want to buy that new Chanel. You think Liam won't give me money? Impossible. As long as he feels responsible for my brother's death, there's no way he can refuse me. That idiot still thinks he owes my family. Ha ha ha. Don't worry. I'll find a way to get the money out of him. I couldn't listen anymore, my whole body trembling with rage. Noah said that the money Liam earned from working went to 3 main things. Part of it was to pay off debts, part was to cover his sister's medical expenses, and the last part went to Chloe. He spent next to nothing on himself. I heard from his classmates that Liam's been checking out some psychology books from the library lately. If it were me, I'd be completely depressed. Noah suddenly cut himself off, then asked me, "Ava, what do we do now?" I didn't know what to do either. Liam never says anything. He keeps it all locked up tight. Other than his financial aid and the money he earned, he refused to take a dime from anyone else. He's always been proud like that, burying his feelings and never letting anything show. Too proud for his own good, I thought bitterly. Finally, I just said, I'll give him this recorder. Still, Chloe's last few words put me on alert. I'm going to investigate the cause of her brother's death. Noah, I need you to ask around some more for me, too. All right, leave it to me. I'd originally planned on giving Liam the voice recorder when he came for our tutoring session, but the housekeeper told me Liam had called in. Called in? Yes, said he wasn't feeling well. I had no choice but to curb my impatience, but I never expected that one day off would turn into him disappearing for several days. I couldn't reach him by phone. I was getting restless. After getting the address of his sister's hospital from Maya, I planned to go check on him that evening. But Maya showed up first, carrying a stack of notebooks. These are the notes Liam organized. He said he was sorry for canceling and asked me to give them to you. They're tailored to the subjects you struggle with. I barely registered the last part of her sentence, asking urgently, You saw Liam? Where is he? He just dropped them off with me and left. I have no idea where he is now. Hearing that, I felt a pang of disappointment. Maya, however, just stared at me for a long moment before saying, To be honest, even if no one else saw it, I always thought you two would end up together. I froze. Looking up, I stared at her, stunned. What do you mean? Maya rested her chin in her hand and gazed out the window. Back when you transferred here freshman year, you didn't know anyone in our class. You didn't know how to make friends, and you were still a loner halfway through the semester. You told me later how grateful you were that I stepped up and asked to sit with you. But the truth is, it was Liam who came and bribed me with his notes to do it. Bribed you? She hummed an affirmation. Surprising, isn't it? Liam and I were actually in elementary school together, but we were never close. To be fair, Liam isn't close with anyone, but he came to me that day and said he hoped I would become friends with you. I asked him why. He said, No one wants to be the odd one out. Maya paused, then gave a small smile. I knew he was talking about himself. But Ava, Liam is different from you. He doesn't have a choice. And that time during the community service project, when you accidentally lost the fountain pen your mother left you. I wasn't the one who found it. Liam went back that night with a flashlight and searched for it inch by inch. He almost got caught by the security patrol. There's a lot more, but he refuses to talk about it. Maya's words hit me like a stone dropped into a still pond, stunning me into silence. For a long moment, I couldn't process it, finally murmuring, I never knew. Of course you didn't, Maya criticized, holding nothing back. That man never says a word, and he wouldn't let me tell you either. How could you possibly know? Then why wouldn't he tell me? I asked, stubbornly needing an answer. But Maya just said, Ava, not every feeling gets the chance to be spoken aloud. Liam is used to suppressing things, to enduring this god-awful life he's been handed. He's walked this road alone for so long that if someone were to suddenly drop out of the sky and offer to walk the rest of the way with him, it would take him a very, very long time just to convince himself to accept it. He's also used to hiding his feelings. In all the time I've known Liam, I've rarely seen him show much emotion. But Ava, she seemed to recall something amusing, her eyes curving with a sly glint. At the track meet, when you fell during your race, I saw it with my own eyes. Liam vaulted right over the bleacher railing. But halfway there, he saw Noah carrying you to the infirmary, so he had to just pretend he was passing by. It was the first time I'd ever seen him look so panicked and helpless, and he forbade me from ever mentioning it. That was a side of Liam I had never known. He had hidden it so well, in fact, that I'd always thought Liam hated me. My throat suddenly felt tight. Then why are you telling me now? I asked, my voice hoarse. I'm leaving for my exchange program. Even if Liam wants to get mad at me, he won't be able to find me. Maya reached out and ruffled my hair, her voice suddenly softening. Besides, leaving it all unsaid, it's not fair to you. And it's not fair to him either. I stood at the doorway of the hospital room. Liam looked thinner. He was sitting by the bed, reading a storybook to his sister, Lily. Lily looked weak, but she was listening intently. When the story was over, Liam stood up and, with practiced ease, tidied the clutter by the bed and emptied the basin of used water. Only after everything was put away did he sit down to eat his now-cold sandwich. But he'd barely taken a few bites when a sharp-faced, sour-looking middle-aged woman came over and slapped the food from his hand. "You still have the nerve to eat? Lily's fever is back today, you damn jinx. If it weren't for you, our family wouldn't be in this mess." She grabbed Liam's arm, her nails digging deep into his flesh. The exposed part of his forearm was covered in crisscrossing old and new scars. But Liam just stood there, not even flinching, as if he were completely used to it. I quickly called for a nurse and yanked Liam behind me. The nurse didn't seem surprised. "Mrs. Carter, please calm down. This is a hospital." The woman, their aunt, glared venomously at Liam, still spewing curses. And through it all, Liam stood there in silence, like a lifeless statue. It wasn't until I went to take him to get his arm treated that he seemed to snap out of it, his eyelashes fluttering slightly. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "If I hadn't come, you'd be dead." I snapped, my voice laced with anger and panic. In my past life, Liam's sister died early, so he never stayed in the hospital this long. I never knew his family could be so cruel to him. "I won't die." Liam even managed a slight, humorless smile. "She can't torture me to death. You know she's tormenting you, and you still stay here to take care of her? Liam, are you out of your mind?" Liam fell silent. After the wounds on his arm were treated, he told me to go home. "I'm afraid I'll have to break the promise I made to your father. I'll pay back the money. I've already organized all the key review materials in those notes. Make sure you study them, and if there's anything you don't understand, you can ask Maya." The pale, sterile light of a hallway fell across his face, but none of it reached his eyes. His tone was perfectly calm, so calm that the panic in my chest swelled, and I grabbed his hand without thinking. "What about you? It's junior year. Don't you need to study? Don't you want to go to grad school?" "Me?" Liam faltered. It was as if he'd only just remembered to think about himself. "I can in the hospital," he said slowly. "You're lying to me again." I cut him off, trying to pull him away by force. "That aunt of yours will never give you time to study. All she wants is to torture you. Come with me. Right now. If you're really that worried, I'll pay for the best caregiver for Lily." But he didn't budge. Liam lowered his gaze to our clasped hands. "Ava!" He called my name softly, his voice sounding as if it came from far away. "She's the only family I have left." His mother was dead, and his father, deep in gambling debt, had disappeared. He only had his sister and his aunt. My whole life, my luck has never been good. Whatever I want, whatever I hope for, it never comes true. The warmth from his hand slowly faded as he pushed me away, his tone still gentle. "That's why you should stay away from me. Farther away, as far as possible. It would be best if you never had anything to do with me again." But his voice was trembling, and he couldn't stop it. I looked at Liam, and suddenly remembered what Maya had said. He seems to think he's cursed. To hell with fate. I had Lily moved to a private room and banned her aunt from visiting. When that woman started throwing a fit again, pointing her finger in Liam's face and screaming at him, I had my bodyguards escort her out. "Here are the review materials the professor asked me to bring you. He said you don't have to come to class, but you have to finish these." I placed the materials in front of Liam. "Liam," I said, looking him straight in the eye, "if you want to rot away in this hospital, just say the word. The second you tell me to stop, I won't stand in your way anymore." Liam kept his head down, and I couldn't see the look on his face. "But you?" After a long moment, his voice came out hoarse, laced with a kind of self-loathing. "You said you were done with me. I'm here as a friend now. It doesn't matter if you don't accept it," I said, then lowered my head and started on my own schoolwork. Liam stood there for a moment before finally sitting down across from me. In the days that followed, we took turns. One day it was me, the next Noah, and the day after that, Maya. We all took turns coming to the hospital to keep Liam company, bringing him the latest class notes and review materials. After a little over a week, Liam had caught up with his studies, and he was starting to look more like himself again. While Liam was out getting water, Lily spoke to me for the first time. She was more lucid. "Thank you," she whispered. I smiled and told her to get some rest. It was a while before Liam returned to the room, his face pale. He calmly walked to the bedside table to fill a glass with water, but his hand was trembling slightly. Watching his back, I asked, "What took so long?" They were out of hot water, so I waited. I just said, "Oh," and didn't think any more of it. The only sound in the hospital room was the rustling of paper, but the quiet was quickly shattered. "Well, well, you little brat. You actually have the money to put this sick girl in a private room." The voice was harsh and shrill. A middle-aged man, stubbled and reeking of alcohol, suddenly burst in. His bloodshot, cloudy eyes scanned me, and he let out a malicious laugh. "So this is the rich girl Chloe was talking about? Heard you've taken a liking to my little brat, huh? Great, just great. Guess that makes us family now, ha." I furrowed my brow at his words. I'd never met this man before, but he looked vaguely familiar. In an instant, Liam stepped in front of me. Ignoring the man, he shoved a stack of papers into my hands and said in a low voice, "Go home." "Hey, what's the big idea?" The man, Frank, shoved Liam aside with a look of extreme displeasure. "Finally, you have a classmate willing to be your friend. What's wrong with letting family meet her?" "Get lost." Liam stared him down, his voice deadly. "Or I'll kill you." "Ha ha 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 ha." Frank howled as if he'd heard the funniest joke in the world, doubling over with laughter. He completely ignored Liam and grinned at me. "Little lady, has my son been keeping you happy? I'm not asking for much. Just $1 million, and you can take this brat off my ugh." Before he could finish, Liam's fist smashed hard into Frank's face. The punch was thrown with all his strength. Frank stumbled back, knocking over an enforced stand. Files shattered on the floor. No one had expected it. Liam attacked like a man with nothing to lose, his movements fast and vicious, like a cornered animal. The bodyguards rushed to restrain him. In the midst of the chaos, Frank, cursing under his breath, suddenly charged at me. A flash of silver glinted in his hand. The man's face was twisted into a grotesque smile. "If I'm going down, you're coming with me." I stood frozen to the spot, the knife's blade gleaming coldly under the pale lights. Frank was too fast. The bodyguards couldn't react in time. "Die," he snarled, his expression contorted, as he thrust the tip of the knife straight at my chest. But the pain I expected never came. The sound of a blade sinking into flesh was sickeningly clear. A warm hand suddenly covered my eyes, plunging my world into darkness. I heard Liam's breathing suddenly grow heavy by my ear, mingled with a stifled grunt of pain. "Don't look," he said. "Don't be afraid. Listen to me. Close your eyes. It'll all be better when you wake up." Accompanied by the screech of breaking tires and a man's triumphant, wild laughter, all sounds faded away like a receding tide, and the world fell into a dead silence. "Liam!" The sense of familiarity finally clicked into place. I instinctively grabbed Liam's arm, my whole body trembling uncontrollably with absolute terror. "You can't die. I won't let you die. Do you hear me?" My voice was a desperate, choked sob. The patient has lost the will to live. The perpetrator was her own father. Who could possibly accept something like that? Sigh. Every family has its own problems. My condolences, Miss Harrison. February 15th. Ava adopted a stray cat. She's been on edge these past few days, preparing a lot of things in advance. I hope the kitten will be healthy. She's been giving it too much attention lately. I'm a little annoyed, but I can tolerate it. February 17th. Ava asked me angrily today if I hated the kitten. Why I never petted or play with it. Then she got mad again and asked why I wasn't saying anything, if my silence meant I agreed. But I didn't know what to say. The truth is, I really like the kitten. February 22nd. The kitten got sick. It died. It's my fault. If only I had never touched it. March 19th. Ava's cold is worse. Shinchinya, are you trying to kill her? Stay away from her. April 5th. Chloe came to see me. I know why. After all, I owe a life. She asked for money. This isn't the end of it, but I've recorded it. This is my debt to pay, and it has nothing to do with Ava. May 20th. Ava asked for a divorce today. Leaving me would be for the best. I started hearing the voices again today. They're telling me to die, but I can't die yet. I have to see what kind of person she finds. I can't rest easy. Ava. Ava. Ava, 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 Ava. Ava Harrison, I hate you the most. Thankfully, the knife had gone into Liam's shoulder. Ever since he got out of the ER, I hadn't taken my eyes off him, not even to blink, terrified that he would disappear the very next second. My staring made him flush, red all over until he couldn't take it anymore. He turned his face away and whispered, almost begging, "Stop looking at me." I ignored him. He wanted to be discharged, but I forcefully kept him in the hospital room to rest. "What about Frank?" he asked in a low voice. "I called the police. They took him away. He got off easy." "Yeah." I coaxed Liam to get some rest, adding a threat. "If you don't sleep, I'll just keep staring at you. I'll stare until you fall asleep." The color that had just faded from his skin came rushing back. He let out a resigned sigh, finally giving in. But his eyes remained open, his dark pupils reflecting the stark white lights of the hospital room, as if afraid that closing them would plunge him into a nightmare. I reached out my hand and, just as I had before, in what felt like another lifetime, gently covered his eyes. "Close them," I commanded. His lashes tickled my palm. Liam finally shut his eyes. Frank was sentenced to prison for aggravated assault. Not long after, we heard he had committed suicide in his cell. I couldn't keep it from Liam for long. One afternoon, he wasn't in his room. I found him on the hospital rooftop. Liam was standing at the edge of the railing, his thin hospital gown whipping in the wind. Is that how he did it? Jumped from a building in the prison. He didn't turn around, just talked to himself. He really got off easy. "Liam," I called out, "come here." He was obedient, walking right over to me. I grabbed his hand, squeezing so hard it hurt my own. But Liam just smiled. He comforted me in a soft voice. "I'm not going to jump. I haven't even graduated yet." I was so scared I couldn't speak, so I grabbed his hand and, as a release, bit down hard. "Gently," Liam said, touching my hair with his other hand, though he pulled back instantly. He smiled, coaxing me. "That hurts." The pressure from my teeth lessened, but I didn't let go. Liam let me do as I pleased, but the smile on his face slowly faded. After a long moment, he said quietly, "Ava, I don't have any family left." His voice was so quiet the rooftop wind seemed to tear it apart the moment it left his lips. "I know none of them ever liked me. After my mom died, Frank started drinking. And when he was drunk, he'd hit me. He'd hit Lily. Then when he was done, he'd break down crying and apologize." Liam paused for a long time, as if steeling himself, then began to rip open old wounds, one by one, laying them bare and bloody before me. "The thing is, I was always a good kid. I knew I wasn't welcome in that house, so I never asked for anything. That one time, I won first place in a competition, and my mom asked what I wanted as a reward. I told her a friend had invited me to hang out, and I asked if I could go. He was the first friend I'd ever made." Liam's voice suddenly grew hoarse, but he continued to narrate in a calm tone. "My mom said yes, but she got in a car accident on the way to pick me up. She died. Maybe I'm just cursed. Anyone who's good to me doesn't live long. Chloe's brother, too. He wouldn't have died if he hadn't been trying to save me. You're not." I finally found my voice. I cupped his face in my hands, forcing him to meet my eyes. "I'm good to you. And look at me. I'm perfectly fine. I plan on living a long, long life. And your mom didn't die because she was coming to get you. She was trying to leave you guys, to escape that house. She had all her things packed. The accident happened on her way out. Liam, are you listening to me? Her death had nothing to do with you." Liam's pupils contracted violently, as if he'd heard something utterly absurd. He was stunned for a long moment, and then his breathing grew ragged. "And Mark Vance didn't die trying to save you. He took you to the river on purpose. He knew you couldn't swim, so he planned to fake rescue you to make you feel indebted to him. He was in a huge amount of debt, and he was going to make you pay it off for him. I took out 2 audio recorders. One was from his aunt, the other from Chloe." Liam calmed down. He pressed play, listening to the recordings over and over until the batteries died. I stayed right there with him, listening over and over again. "Ava." He stuffed the recorders into his pocket. He said my name suddenly, then asked, lost, "How can anyone's life be such a joke?" "Sometimes fate is just an asshole," I said after thinking it over seriously. "But it doesn't get to define who you are. So you can, and should, fight back with everything you've got." "A real asshole," Liam chuckled weakly. The chuckle grew louder, finally dissolving into gut-wrenching, dry heaves. He doubled over, as if trying to vomit up his own organs. Liam, my mom left, too. I tilted my head back, watching the sunset with him. She didn't love my dad, and she didn't love me, so she dumped me on him early on and took off by herself. But I was luckier than you. My dad loves me a lot. So, growing up, his way of loving me was to give me everything he had, without reservation, sometimes without even asking if I wanted it. I got used to it, and I guess I learned to love the people I care about the same way. It might be a little overbearing, but until you learn to be brave, you're just going to have to deal with it. Liam said nothing. Finally, I got up, a little impatient, and held out my hand again. The soup I brought is cold. I'm hungry. Are you coming down to eat or not? He looked up at me. Fine, don't eat then. I started to pull my hand back. But in the next second, he caught it. First, a tentative brush of fingertips, then slowly, his hand closed tightly around mine. I waited patiently. Okay, he said. I wasn't sure which question he was answering. Liam looked down, the tips of his ears turning red. He said in a low voice, I'm hungry. Then let's go eat. Heaven and earth can wait. Food is the most important thing. Okay. Liam is a strong person. I always knew that. Liam didn't let me get involved with Chloe's affairs any further. All I know is that he got most of his money back. And Chloe dropped out of school. Later, Noah told me that Chloe had somehow gotten mixed up with a group of loan sharks. They broke her leg, and her mom took her back to their hometown. Ever since Liam started tutoring Noah and helped him raise his GPA, Noah's opinion of him completely changed. From then on, he was firmly convinced that Liam was his brother from another mother. Liam returned to school. His academics hadn't suffered at all. In fact, since he no longer had to work a part-time job, he even beat Maya for the top spot in our year several times. Life went smoothly all the way until graduation. Noah finally got into a graduate program in the same city as Maya. He was so thrilled he hugged Liam and cried for a long time. The three of them were in the same city, and I, according to my father's plans, went to the UK. My father had always felt he'd wronged me, so after he found out I was almost hurt because of Liam, he held a serious grudge against him and had already arranged everything for my future long in advance. I didn't refuse, because that was also one of the regrets from my past life. On the day I left, even Maya, who was in City A, rushed back to see me off. Noah tearfully clung to my hand, wanting to say a few more words, but Maya grabbed him by the collar and pulled him away. I thought you'd be the most talkative one today. I deliberately feigned disappointment, frowning and shaking my head. Liam, I'm very disappointed in you. Liam chuckled at my teasing. Unlike in my past life, in this one, he seemed to smile easily in front of me. Then, to make it up to you, I'll tell you a secret. A secret! My interest was piqued instantly. One day during the summer break after our sophomore year, I suddenly had this overwhelming urge to see you. How overwhelming! Enough that I begged Maya to get me into your neighborhood, and I waited outside your front gate, just hoping for a chance to see you. But you were on vacation abroad at the time. Maya asked me, So are you still going to try and see her? Liam paused, a hint of helplessness in his eyes. How could I? I had just paid off a little of my debt. All the money I had to my name wasn't even enough for a plane ticket to get there. That's when I knew. I was too far from you, so far that I might never be able to catch up, no matter how hard I tried for the rest of my life. That really was a secret I didn't know. The boarding announcement came over the speakers. I'm leaving for the UK now, and I don't know when I'll be back. Taking a deep breath, my heart started to beat faster. I stared at Liam and asked him seriously, So, will you save up enough for a plane ticket in the future? As I waited, it felt as if all the noise in the bustling airport faded away. And this time, I finally got his answer. He said, More than one. Ava, I like you. The I'm in love with you kind of like. The love I had only glimpsed in the notebook was finally brought into the light. The first thing Liam did after getting home was start cooking. The second was to clean up. The last was to sit on the sofa and quietly wait for Ava to come home. He waited until it was dark. She's probably not coming back again, Liam thought. He couldn't blame anyone. Anyone else would have found it impossible to live with someone like him. Ava was already wonderful. He sighed and got up, intending to clear the dishes from the table. But just as he moved, he heard the sound of the lock turning. Liam's eyes lit up in an instant. It was Ava! But Ava was strange today. Her face was pale, and her eyes were red. Had someone bullied her? Liam frowned, instinctively moving forward to ask what was wrong. But Ava walked straight through his body and headed for the study. Through his body? Liam froze. It took him a long moment to realize. *O. So I'm already dead, *. The experience of becoming a soul after death was novel. But soon, Liam's thoughts were once again filled with nothing but Ava. Was Ava crying because of him? Liam was a little curious, so he followed her. And then he witnessed the mortifying scene of Ava opening his notebook. Liam. His entire spiritual form flushed red from head to toe. If you were to ask what he regretted most, the present Liam would answer without hesitation. Not burning that notebook. Ava, don't look! But not only did Ava not stop, she turned each page, reading with extreme focus as tears rolled down her cheeks one by one. In that instant, Liam forgot all about his embarrassment. He frantically tried to wipe away Ava's tears, his voice taking on a pleading tone. Ava, please don't cry, okay? But he had forgotten again that he was dead. So the tears passed through his palm, soaking the pages drop by drop. Ava couldn't hear his voice either, so she kept crying. When she was tired of crying, she hugged the notebook and sat in a corner of a study, asking in a small voice, Liam, why did you hate me the most? She had seen the last page. Because she couldn't hear him, Liam answered her with the utmost seriousness this time. Because I love you the most. But it seemed that anyone he loved, and anyone who loved him, never met a good end. So he changed it to hate. Liam had originally thought that since he was already dead, he might as well take the chance to say all the things he hadn't said over the years. But then he worried, what if his terrible fate was so bad it could even affect his spiritual form? That's why he only dared to say, I love you, once. Even his embrace was just a phantom one, terrified of tainting Ava with his bad luck. They say the 3 greatest joys in life are getting a promotion, getting rich, and having your husband die. Liam looked down at the sleeping Ava and said softly but seriously, You've already got 2 of them now, so don't be sad. But Ava didn't listen at all. She stubbornly wanted to know the whole truth. So Liam could only follow her helplessly. He watched as she grew gradually silent after learning everything, his heart aching with a powerlessness to help. What he said is fake. I wasn't actually that miserable back then. Don't listen to this doctor's nonsense. My illness wasn't that serious. Doctors love to exaggerate. She's not my one that got away. I've already paid back all the debts I owed. Ava, you have to shove those transaction records right in her face. During that time, Liam spoke more than he ever had in his entire life combined. It was as if he was paying back a debt from all the times Ava had called him a closed book, and now the time had come to settle it. But Ava, the creditor, could neither see nor hear him. She just kept doing what she had set out to do. Then, on an ordinary afternoon, Ava got revenge for Liam. Let's start over, Liam heard himself say, though he didn't know who he was speaking to. Start over, and don't come near me again. Don't love me again. Don't get entangled with me in any way. She only needs to remember that I hated her the most. Liam hated Ava the most. I love her, but she never needs to know.